It's honestly kind of crazy that we're sitting here in May 2026 and there's still no Injustice 3. Because think about it, the last Injustice game came out in 2017. That was almost a decade ago. And ever since then, fighting game fans, especially NetherRealm fans, have been asking the same question. Where is Injustice 3? Is it even coming out? And honestly, after the last few DC game releases, I think we need it now more than ever. Because while DC movies are slowly recovering, the gaming side of DC has been struggling badly. Like, what do we have? We just have that Lego Batman game that really is the light shining through the darkness. But Injustice could genuinely be the perfect game to bring the whole hype back and make DC shine again. But if you guys don't know me by now, I'm Mr. Frosty Flames, but you can call me Mike. We do anything gaming news, reviews, playthroughs, analysis, and we do it in a chill way with no over editing BS. So if you like that style of content, be sure to hit that sub button and join the Mr. Frosty Flames Legion. At 1800 subs, I will be playing Mortal Kombat Sub-Zero Mythologies, which you guys know is possibly the worst and the hardest Mortal Kombat game. So if you want to see me struggle and suffer, then hit that sub button. Anyways, back to the video. So before we fully dive into why Injustice 3 needs to happen, we need to talk about Injustice 2, because people forgot how massive Injustice 2 actually was. At the time, the story mode was insanely popular. Like, people were arguing, should it be Batman, should it be Superman? And plus the gear system, it kept casuals addicted. The roster was cool, it was hype, and the whole evil Superman story became iconic to Injustice. Even people who didn't play fighting games knew about Injustice Superman. That version of Superman became one of the most recognizable alternate takes on the character in gaming history, and probably even, you know, comic history, especially now that comics aren't really mainstream. People were like, yeah, Superman's good, but then they seen the Injustice Superman, they're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And that's honestly because NetherRealm understood something important. They weren't making a fighting game, they were making sort of like a playable DC event. Every character interaction felt important, every fight sort of had weight, and the story mode genuinely felt cinematic in a way most fighting games still struggle to match. And the craziest part is, Injustice 2 actually left off on a perfect place for a sequel. Depending on the ending, either Batman's side wins or Superman regains control. Either way, there's room to continue the universe. It didn't feel finished, it felt like a setup for something bigger, like a cliffhanger, and then really nothing came out after that. We got Mortal Kombat 11, then we got Mortal Kombat 1. Because despite the release order for NRS, I feel like this is the perfect timing for Injustice 3. Because let's be honest, DC games have been very rough for the last few years. We got Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, and that launched to a ton of criticism. You know, stuff like live service complaints, repetitive gameplay criticisms, controversial story decisions, and just the overall community reaction that was honestly brutal. And then we had Gotham Knights, and while some people enjoyed parts of it, it never really became the huge DC gaming hit that Warner Brothers probably wanted. A lot of fans felt that the combat lacked impact. Traversal felt off. I think you needed to play it for a ton of hours to unlock the character's full potential in their traversal even, which is something that's very basic. I'm like, why do you have to put so much time just to unlock like a glider or something? It's stupid. And overall, it didn't reach the level people expected after the Arkham games. And because of that, there's this weird empty space right now for DC games. People want a big DC game to rally behind again. And honestly, Injustice 3 might be the safest and smartest move possible, because unlike those other games, NetherRealm already proved people love this universe. And another reason Injustice 3 needs to happen is because I genuinely think that a lot of NetherRealm fans are ready from a break from Mortal Kombat. Not because Mortal Kombat is bad as a whole, but after Mortal Kombat 11 and Mortal Kombat 1, you know, they're both very mediocre games. I feel like people want something with a different energy. You know, I wouldn't be mad if Mortal Kombat took a break, because Injustice sort of has a completely different vibe. It's sort of more grounded visually, it has that superhero fantasy along with the DC fan service, and then they have like cool mechanics like stage transitions. I know the old Mortal Kombats have it, but they brought it into Injustice, and plus everybody loves the crazy character interactions between the superheroes or the superhero and the villain. And honestly, this tone feels refreshing after years of non-stop gore and timelines exploding. Plus, Injustice has something really unique. It attracts both fighting game fans and superhero fans. That crossover audience is huge, and with DC trying to rebuild hype under the newer leadership, an Injustice 3 announcement would probably explode online, and it could be huge for NetherRealm itself. If NetherRealm executes Injustice 3 properly, this could genuinely be one of their biggest games ever, because now they have modern hardware, stronger online expectations, rollback experience, they could add crossplay, they have cinematic story mode experience, they could do story mode DLC, and years of feedback feedback from both MK11 and MK1, imagine the modern visuals, the next gen stage destruction, improved gear customization. I don't want them to downgrade like what they did with MK11 to MK1. They need to keep Injustice 2's concept and improve it. And you could have some crazy guest characters and bigger story mode moments and like unique characters from the comics. Bro, the hype would be insane and the community reaction would probably be massive too. You'd instantly get DC fans returning to the game. You could get a whole new wave of casual players just buying the game because it looks cool online. And you could get FGC players curious again because they had its own little dedicated fan base, especially now that nobody likes to play Mortal Kombat 1. That community is kind of split. Some are going back to Mortal Kombat X and some are going back to Injustice 2, especially because the superhero gaming space feels weirdly empty right now. There's room for a game like this to dominate. And here's a reason why this matters too. It could compete with the new Marvel fighting game, you know, Marvel Token fighting something, right? I forgot the title, Marvel Token, right? There's already growing hype around that new Marvel fighting game coming in the future, which means if NetherRealm releases Injustice 3 right now, you suddenly have Marvel vs DC conversations again, superhero fighting game rivalry again, and massive online debates again. And I know that's old, you know, Marvel vs DC, who cares, right? But the thing is, that brings controversy, that brings like people to talk about your game, which could bring more hype about your game. And honestly, the competition would be good for the genre for both games, because Injustice always had its own identity compared to Marvel fighters. You know, it's slower, heavier, more cinematic, more story driven. And if NetherRealm improves, you know, the movement, the online, the balance, the gameplay depth, then Injustice 3 could absolutely stand beside modern fighting games instead of feeling behind them, like sort of how it's always been. And also, as of May 2026, the rumors are getting really hard to ignore when it comes to leaks, because there are multiple reports that recently claim that a Warner Bros. Artist had Injustice 3 listed on a resume alongside other WB projects. There have also been, you know, data miner rumors, community speculation, voice actor rumors, and even discussions around NetherRealm potentially returning to DC sooner than expected. Now obviously nothing is confirmed yet, but at this point it genuinely feels like something is happening behind the scenes. And honestly, the timing makes perfect sense because MK1 support slowed down, DC needs gaming momentum badly, and the fan demand has never really disappeared. People really want Injustice back. And on top of that, I don't think Ed Boon would drop Injustice so easily because he's shown a lot of passion in making that project. He's always wanted to make sort of like a DC fighter ever since Mortal Kombat vs DC Universe. It was sort of like a test, and then Injustice 2. So I don't think that they would just suddenly stop making Injustice out of nowhere, because it just doesn't make sense. And that, along with all these leaks, I mean, it's pretty much confirmed that it's coming out, but it's just not confirmed on paper. And at this point, Injustice 3 doesn't feel like another sequel. It feels sort of necessary for the genre and for NRS, necessary for DC gaming, NetherRealm fans, superhero fighting game fans, and honestly just the whole FGC as a whole. Because after years of live service failures, disappointing launches, and DC games struggling to find consistency, along with just NRS struggling to make Mortal Kombat 11 and Mortal Kombat 1 great, I feel like Injustice 3 could finally be the game that brings the excitement back. And if NRS truly learns from MK1, which a lot of people are doubtful, and including me, but we could always be hopeful, this game could really be huge. Now hopefully the leaks are true. Honestly, I think a lot of people are ready for the announcement. They want the leaks to be true. But yeah, this is just what I think of Injustice 3 and why I think it needs to happen, why it's the #1 priority. Let me know what you guys think down below. Do you guys want Injustice 3 to be back? If so, what new character, what new DC character do you think that they should add in Injustice 3's main roster? Let me know in the comments down below. Now if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to join the Frosty Flames Legion. And just let me know your thoughts on everything, any improvements, any other opinions or anything. Be sure to debate in the comments. I love reading all your comments. Thank y'all for watching. Mr. Frosty Flames out. Ciao.